Welcome all of you back to Lucas Narration. I'm Lucas, and today we're about checking out 2 horror and heartbreaking stories from the Relationship Advice subreddit. And if you love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, as it really helps out. Now let's crack on with today's story. So, our first story today comes from a Reddit user named Thinking.Leave. He posted on the Relationship Advice subreddit seeking opinions on the frustrating situation he found himself in. He says, "Thinking if I, 36-year-old male, should leave my wife, 36-year-old female, because she openly resents our 7-year-old son. Neither of us were sure about having kids. We were married 5 years before finding out she was pregnant. Both nervous as hell, but in the end, she wanted to try having the baby and I agreed. It was hard at first. Parenthood is in general, but I love my son. He's wonderful, smart, energetic, and warms my heart. My wife for the most part was great with him. Occasionally, we both would get burned out and find some time to have date nights or individual free time. Over a year ago before lockdown, my wife started becoming very irritated over anything he'd do. Accidentally spill a little apple juice on the counter, she'd yell at him like if he just destroyed a family heirloom. It was something that happened every now and then, but we'd talk about it and she would apologize to him. Pandemic was really rough. We both had our jobs, just were working from home and our son wasn't in school. At first I thought the frustration came from being cooped up at home and not being able to go out. My son's been going to school again for months and we're all back to going out. Things haven't improved. Finally had to sit down with my wife because no matter what mood she's in, she could be happy and smiling, but when my son comes in, her mood shifts. And I notice it more now. My wife has told me that for the longest time, she's resented having our son. Motherhood isn't what she thought it was going to be and missed it only being the 2 of us. She didn't expect her life to be this way with a child and she regrets having him at all. It was a hard conversation to have, but one we really needed to. I've talked to her about getting therapy, individual, couples, or both, whatever it takes. She's refused because she claims she doesn't need help. We have tried going on more date nights, being a couple if she feels like we're not getting enough of that. Have her spend some more one-on-one time with him, which she doesn't want to do. It doesn't matter, as soon as we get home and in our son's presence she's more serious. I asked her once, does she love him? My wife says that she does, just doesn't like him. That was painful. I want to work on this with her, get therapy. She doesn't want to. What's pushing me to want to leave is because my son is starting to pick up on this. No 7-year-old kid should be asking why mom's always mad at him. I love my wife, but I'm scared of him growing up with someone who doesn't like him. Is this really it? Is the next best thing to leave, or is there any way to get her to understand I can't have our son living like this? That is horrific. I feel so sad for the little son. He is too young to deal with this. And of course, he didn't deserve any of that. What do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment below. We're starting with the most upvoted comment. This Reddit user says, "I grew up with a mother who loved me but didn't like me. She screwed me up so hardcore. I'd let your wife know that if she isn't in therapy and making progress immediately, you'll be all done. Your kiddo comes first." In response to this comment, Opie says, "I'm very sorry about your mother. That's exactly what I want to avoid with my son. He doesn't deserve any of this. I really hope another talk, this time with the mention of divorce if nothing improves, will get her to understand how serious I am this time." Next commenter shares sympathy with Opie, advising, "Please intervene for your son. I grew up feeling hated and unloved by my parents. I was suicidal by 9 before I even understood what it was. Every night, I'd wish I didn't exist and was never born. I would wish I would just get sick and die. By 11, I started considering doing it myself." This user shares the same opinion, saying, "This is really it. You cannot make your son continue to live with a person who actively and blatantly dislikes him and finds fault with everything he does. You have to put his needs first, and that means getting him away from his mother at least most of the time. Maybe if she only has minimal custody or visitation, they can build a better relationship, but if she continues treating him badly when it's her custody time, you will need to address that too." Many users advise that Opie's wife has therapy. One commenter says, "Okay, so therapy for her would be great, but I hate seeing all these people jump to her being a narc that's jealous of your son. She just regrets being a parent. No diagnosis or medicine will fix that. As a kid, I was an oops baby. My mom always talks about how she didn't even know she was pregnant until she was nearly halfway through. My dad loved me and she resented me. Then my dad died. My childhood was horrible. My mom and I are on decent terms now, but she obviously didn't enjoy being around me until I was in college. Whatever you do, please don't force your child to be alone with someone who resents him. It will affect his mental health and interpersonal relationships for the rest of his life, believe me. However, some people hold a different opinion, stating that therapy wouldn't have made a difference. This user says, "That's not how it works sometimes. You can't force people to like each other. If she doesn't like him, then she doesn't like him. No amount of therapy will change that. The best thing for the child is for you both to let her go. She will just get worse with time, and your son deserves better." Do you wonder how the wife will treat her son later on in life? Check out the update from Opie after about a week. He says, "Well, it's been a hard few days, but it happened. Didn't want it to, but it needed to. I took my son out of there. Trying to talk with my wife about this a couple days after posting this got us nowhere. Even if therapy wasn't going to be the miracle that makes her want to be a mother to our son, I told her it wouldn't hurt to have somewhere to talk about her feelings. Get to the core of why she feels this way, and if maybe there's a way to work on it so that it wouldn't have a deep impact on how she is with him." She refused. And I asked her, does she ever think it will get better? As it does, my wife believes she could see herself caring for him and being what he needs at all in the future. The answer wasn't going to determine if I left or not, but that's something I just wanted to know for myself. She said no. When I told her that it's not going to work out between us because his well-being comes first, she begged me to stay. All these promises of not treating him negatively and putting on a face for him, but still will not do therapy at all because she doesn't need help. Then all of a sudden she gets angry. And to get out then if I only just want to be with my son. It was heartbreaking. We ended up leaving since she didn't want to leave the apartment. He was still half asleep when we left, so all I've told him so far is we're just taking a short vacation. He believes it since we're staying at a hotel for now, but he does keep asking about her. I'm trying my best to keep it together for him. My heart's still broken though. I hate that it had to end like this. But many of you were right, and I know this too. He had to come first, and this was already messing him up. I know it was the right choice. Feels like my life just came to a hard stop. And I'm just trying to get my bearings still. She hasn't contacted me since we left. My family is aware of what's happening though, so I'm glad to have their support. My sister offered to have my son spend the weekend with them so he could be with his cousins. Since he's not here right now, I decided to use some of my free time to type this up. Thank you for being the push I needed to do something. Deep down I know it was what needed to be done. Guess just needed it to be said. What do you think about this horrific story? Feel free to share your thoughts with me in the comments. And now let's move on to the second story that is from a Reddit user whose name is I Know a Cheap Ass. The story titled, "My 25-year-old female fiancé proposed to me, but it turns out the ring is fake. He bought a name brand box off of eBay." Hey guys! So my fiancé Mark, 30-year-old male, and I have been together for 2 years. 2 months ago, he asked me to marry him and he gave me a beautiful Cartier engagement ring. I was really excited and of course I said yes. It was a beautiful ring and I was excited to be marrying the man I love. The other day Mark and I worked together. I overheard 2 coworkers talking about Mark. Someone mentioned that Mark makes so much money, but he didn't even give his girlfriend a real ring. The person asked for clarification and it turns out that Mark bought a Cartier box off of eBay, then bought a cubic zirconia ring to put in the box. I didn't want to believe it, then I took my ring to a jeweler to get it checked. My ring is essentially worthless. It isn't anywhere near a diamond. Mark is on business right now. I'm so upset I haven't answered any of his calls or texts. I don't know what to say. Am I wrong for being this upset? I'm honestly starting to think this is a deal breaker. He's so cheap and stingy with his money, but at least I thought he'd buy me a good ring when I know he can afford it. What should I do? I don't know why your husband bragged about his scam to coworkers when you and your husband both work at the same damn place. He could have gotten away with it for so long if he hadn't done that. Maybe because he's so convinced of just how smart he is that he can't see how stupid he actually is. And he really needs an audience to praise his sneakiness. Opie, it's just not about the ring. He lied and manipulated you and then bragged about it. You should have a serious talk with him and reconsider your relationship. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts down below. And now let's check out what people say in the comments. This Reddit user says in quotes, "Mark, let's go get the ring appraised for insurance purposes. It's so beautiful, I want to make sure it's protected," then watches his world burns around him. Or so says my special one after I read him this post. Another questions. Hold up. He's bragging about tricking you to people at work? Lord have mercy. Is this fool stupid? He must be, because anyone that works in an office knows that that shit spreads like wildfire. Not only is he stupid, he's a scammer with zero respect for your intelligence. That ain't love? Is he seriously 30 damn years old? Ditch this loser. He ain't worth it. When he asks you why, tell him you want someone that'll take you seriously, not a effing clown. Next commenter couldn't believe what they have just read, saying, "He's bragging about how cheap he is and how he fooled you to his coworkers? What the EFF? I wear a cubic zirconia ring, but I know it's cubic zirconia. I picked it out myself. We can't afford diamonds and I don't want them anyway. Nobody fooled me into accepting it and nobody went to work the next day and bragged about pulling one over on me. Honestly, I'd call off the wedding if someone did that to me. It's not about the diamonds or the cubic zirconia, it's about the deliberate deception and then bragging about it. He could have discussed with you his reluctance to drop a significant amount of money on a ring and helped you pick out one that you both were happy with. Instead, he lied, bragged about lying, and had absolutely no intention of telling you the truth. I guarantee he's going to do shit like this again the next time a money issue comes up. But it'll be too late because you married him. Seriously, call it off. You can't marry someone who's that financially dishonest to you. It's your financial future on the line as well once you're married. If he can't treat you like an equal partner and just steamrolls over your objections to how he handles money in the most passive-aggressive and dishonest way possible, he's absolutely going to continually pull shit like this during your marriage. What happens when it's about your children and what they need and he's too cheap to pay for it? Seriously, dump his cheap ass. Fake ring equals fake engagement. He just expected you to start the most honest thing in your life with a massive deception. He doesn't respect you and he expects you to marry him? EFF that. 2 days later, Opie came back to give us an update. Fast update here. I put her plan into motion. Also, if you messaged me death threats and abuse, please jump off a building. Thanks. I'm not a selfish or materialistic person. I expect honesty from my future spouse, nothing more, nothing less. I haven't taken a dime from Mark. Everything nice that I have was paid for by me. I don't need to be with him for his money because I have my own. What I do want is consideration and thoughtfulness from my partner, not lies. If he had even gotten me something that was made from silver with my birthstone, I would have accepted it because at least it came from the heart and showed thought behind it. I did not, in any way, shape, or form, demand a brand name ring or any sort of ridiculously expensive ring. Anyway, long story short, I finally answered Mark's calls and kept it as calm as I could. I told him I wanted to take an insurance policy out on the ring because it was very valuable and I was taking it to an appraiser. Mark immediately shut up and told me that I shouldn't do that until he got back, that he already had a warranty in place at the jeweler, that I shouldn't make big decisions without him. After he stopped spouting off, I told him that it was too late. I already took the ring to a jeweler and knew that not only was it a worthless piece of glass, but also silver-plated. The bastard stammered, and the only intelligent thing that came out of his mouth was, "You took it to a real jeweler." Huge fights over finances, selfishness, and lying ensued. He accused me of being a gold digger, and I refuted this by asking him to try and remember that last time I ever made him pay for anything or buy me anything. He had no answer. I said I wanted no part of something based on a lie and hung up. Switched the Facebook status from engaged to single. Oh, and changed the locks on our apartment and gave our dog to my sister to make sure he doesn't try to keep him. I paid for the dog and all his shots. He'll have a fun time trying to get in when he comes back from his trip. Edit. Realize that I need to give this idiot a written letter that says he has 30 days to vacate. I'm giving him the letter the second he walks in. I will give him a spare key if he insists on staying. Darn. Opie also provided additional information by replying to this comment. That says, on one hand, it seems silly to leave someone over a ring, but on the other, this is about so much more than the ring. It's about his manipulating and lying to you. That's unacceptable. I'm glad you found a solution that you were comfortable with. Opie replies, exactly. The ring just brought all the other issues to a head. I'm too angry right now to be sad, but there's no worse feeling when a man that claims to love you takes joy in manipulating you and bragging about what he did to people that know us both personally and in a professional place. Here's the final comment from Opie. I did love him. Very much so. But there comes a point where enough is enough, especially when it comes to something he knew I took very seriously. I can't be disrespected anymore, thus I'm putting my foot down and making sure my decision sticks. Many people in the comments couldn't believe what Opie's husband did after the truth revealed. One user says, wow, changed the Facebook status. The ultimate. This user adds, it does sound kind of goofy, but I'll give Facebook this. Once you change your status, you've told pretty much everyone in your social circle in one fell swoop that it's over. If you change your mind and run back, it kind of makes you feel like an ass. Next commenter says, it was a huge douche move by him, but you sound almost as bad with your reactions. Seems like neither of you were really ready for marriage. This user wants to say to Opie in this one, honestly, it's for the best you broke up. However, not because he's a liar or an a-hole, but because there appears to be absolutely zero communication going on here. Did you ask him for an explanation? Did he give you one, or just call you names? Did you sit down, face to face, and tell him in a relatively calm manner exactly how this hurt you and how it made you doubt your relationship? Or did you just throw accusations at him, then throw down the breakup gauntlet in the heat of the moment? What I'm getting at here is that marriage requires communication, commitment, and hard work, which is something that appears to have not been happening in your relationship from either end. Yeah, sometimes your special one will say something hurtful. Sometimes you'll say, edit, or do something hurtful to your special one. Then you calm down, apologize, and talk about what is really upsetting you. What's your take on this situation? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Before you go, don't forget to check out some of our other videos popping up on the screen. I'm sure you'll find something you'll enjoy. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. And now see you in the next video.